Hello and welcome to Can't Find My Way Home, the podcast where expats from around the globe talk about the music and art scene in their adopted home. I'm your host, Craig. I kick off season 2 of Can't Find My Way Home with Ant Utama. Ant, a New Zealander, has been living in Cologne, Germany for the past 2.5 years, where he's been working on his music full time. Of course, we talk about how he ended up in Germany, his travelling and backpacking adventures with his German girlfriend, adopting a street dog in Mexico, and giving up a career in marketing to try his luck as a professional musician. Ant details how he first got into music from an early age, performing in musical theatre at high school, and to him eventually picking up the acoustic guitar to accompany the songs he'd written. Ant also describes how important marketing and self-promotion is to an artist. There's talk about WeWork spaces in Cologne where creatives can collaborate, the busking scene, getting out of your comfort zone, Ant's own music and his hopes for the year ahead. All this and why he won't play Wonderwall for you. Let's get right into it. Ant Utama.
Cool.
Yeah, but I mean, we can chat for 5 minutes before we get into this.
Yeah, okay. I don't know when
there's no rush. I like to kind of not really wait the very start.
Yeah, but I've been here for like nearly 2.5 years. I got a German girlfriend, and and I can repeat this in the backstory section, but we met backpacking in Southeast Asia, and and then so that's been we traveled together. We did long distance for about 6 months when we went home to our respective countries, and then she ended up moving to New Zealand for 2 years to be with me, which was really nice. And then after 2 years, she was really missing family. She was missing home, and she said, "I want to go back. Do you want to come with me?" And then I was like, "Yeah, of course." And so we were like, okay, we're going to move to Germany. But then we did another backpacking trip on the way to Germany for 8 months through South America, Mexico, and California, just as, because we love travel. And long story, we adopted a dog in Mexico from the street. We just took her with us. We got the paperwork done and vaccinations and stuff like that, and we brought this dog to Germany. So it's nearly 2.5 years here in Germany, and I've just been focusing on music full time, which is not an easy task. But my background is marketing back home. Studied marketing and commerce, and so I did that, and then moving to Germany coincided with turning 30, and that's it's a reflection point. So I just music was always like a side hustle hobby for me, and I'd never taken it seriously, so I decided we'll do it. And and so I've been playing music on the street. I've been doing, most of my income at the moment comes from like weddings and, corporate functions and birthday parties and things like this, which, it's great that I am earning a full-time income, well, a modest full-time income.
We won't go into the specifics here.
Playing music. But the goal
friends
is...
from the finance app.
The goal is that because currently I write my own music as well, and that loses me money. That loses me a lot of money. It's just a lot of investing and not much return. But the hope is that the type of gig I get kind of balances out, and I get to do more of my own stuff. But and obviously stuck in the middle of COVID now, which is challenging, but at least it's winter now, where it tends to be a quieter time anyway, so just fingers crossed that things recover as we get towards summer, because I've got a lot of bookings that I don't want to lose.
Not again, anyway. It was last year quite traumatic in the sense of just lost a lot of gigs, or people lost weddings and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, weddings still could happen. Like they just had certain rule restrictions, like the number of people that you could have. But and a few got postponed, but majority of my weddings did go ahead. And gigs. Last summer wasn't too bad for me because it's kind of a blessing that I'm a newcomer, shall we say, so still trying to grassroots level, so my audiences are small audiences, 50, 100 people max, and those events could still happen outdoors. It's those higher level artists who can pull 500, 1,000 people, they've just been sitting there not being able to do much. So it's kind of a blessing that
man. You got to take it while you can.
Yeah, exactly. So I look at the positive. But yeah, we can only, who knows what this year's going to end up like.
Maybe we talk a little about your musical journey then, since you told us how you got to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it really got you into music in the first place, Anthony? Was it come from a musical family, or was music always around in the house?
I don't really come from a musical family. Like my parents, my dad likes to think he's musical, but it's kind of self-taught as a hobby sort of thing. But and it's because he never got the opportunity to learn musical instruments when he was young, and neither did my mum. They're both from Indonesia, and they moved to New Zealand. Actually met in New Zealand, and so that's why I grew up in New Zealand, which is a nicer place to be than Indonesia. Jakarta, which is where they're from.
I've been to Jakarta many years ago, but it's...
If you go to Bali, then it's paradise. But if
Jakarta is completely different. It's very intense.
Yeah, and so my parents my sister and I were young, they wanted to give us those opportunities. So we learned the piano and the violin at an early age. And so, so since we were little kids, we played these instruments, and our parents took the fun out of it. They're typical Asian parents, like to make you practice every day. And we got pretty good, but we stopped enjoying it. Really. And so eventually in our early teens, we started dropping out and quitting. But it was in high school that I had been doing drama classes as well. And the school was putting on a musical theater show, and I just auditioned for it. And I guess I had that musical background, that I had the ear from the years of the piano and the violin as a child. And so my first singing experience was in the musical Les Mis, and I got one of the lead roles, and since then I just fell in love with singing. And
were you the Russell Crowe or the Hugh Jackman guy?
No, I wasn't those. I was Marius, which was sort of the younger guy.
Was he the Eddie?
Who falls in love
I can't remember the guy's name. Eddie something.
I can't remember his name, but he's the one that falls in love with Hugh Jackman's daughter.
Yeah, that's right.
In the story. But and I've just so I did musical theater. It was like this very sort of stuff was my first exposure into it, and then kind of just dabbled in a bunch of different things to figure out what.
I guess the question is, have you incorporated jazz hands into your set somewhere, right?
Absolutely not. No, I've left.
Only special occasions.
Left those behind. Yeah, only after a couple.
Oh man.
But so that's how I got into music. Is just my parents, they wanted to give me the opportunities, and it was almost an accident that I started singing. But I'm really glad that it took me on that journey.
When did you first pick up the guitar then? So it was kind of piano and violin your younger days, but when did the guitar come into view?
Well, I actually started teaching myself the guitar in high school when I was doing those musicals, because the guitar was something that you could accompany yourself with, and it was something that you didn't get bullied for in school. The violin was not a cool instrument when you're in the orchestra, but the guitar is seen as a cool instrument.
It's just a bigger violin.
Yeah, so I was like, I want to be cool, and so I picked up the guitar, and I just taught myself basic chords to sing along to. Basically, it was to accompany myself. I was never going to be a solo shredder or anything like that, and I'm still not. Like, to be completely transparent, I love songwriting and I love singing, and the guitar just accompanies that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think, guitars or musical instruments in general are incredibly versatile, and you only have to see what some people can do with the very basics. You see some of these videos online of guys just putting things together to create sound and rhythm and all of that kind of stuff. And it takes you to that whole other place. You don't need a Stradivarius or a latest high-end Martin guitars, which are very nice, but
no, I can't trust myself with an expensive guitar. Last November, I accidentally ran over my guitar in my car.
Oh dear.
Which was a very stupid thing to do, but
we won't even go there. Okay.
No, we won't go there, but
no.
I can't be trusted with expensive things.
Okay. You've bought a replacement since?
Got a replacement. It's the same model exactly.
Right.
So yeah, I really loved that guitar, so had to go the same one.
Oh man, yeah, it's a kind of a traumatic experience with something that happens.
Yeah.
I've been in rehearsal rooms when the guitar player's not really had a stand for his guitar, but he's leaned it against the amp, for example, and you can kind of just see it kind of slowly. You get slow motion face to go and kind of catch it while you can. It's that moment you don't really look forward to seeing.
And instruments.
You're primarily acoustic based. You say that's your thing?
Yeah. So acoustic, like when I do a concert or anything like that, it's always just with the acoustic guitar. It's kind of an unplugged experience. The songs I release, say on Spotify, have a full band and production behind them. So it's obviously a different sound, but just at my level currently, I can't afford a band, so it's just me at this stage, and hopefully, I'm just going to keep pursuing and keep trying to grow, and then I would absolutely love to have a band behind me on stage, supporting me. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. What was your kind of recording experience like? When did you start really putting things down?
I started recording, so my first single that I released was in October 2019. And and I hadn't really been in a studio before. I'd recorded stuff at my home studio, if you can call it a home studio, but I wasn't used to the fine-tuning of what an engineer and someone recording has to monitor. So it was actually quite overwhelming for me, that first experience. And we also had session musicians in who really added their own creativity in terms of, the guitarist added some cool parts, the drummer and the bass guitar. So it was really cool. So that whilst they're my songs, these session musicians who basically just doing a day job, added a lot of their creativity into my songs, which was really cool to see. I normally, to the producer, I bring the acoustic guitar and my voice, and we create something out of that. And it's really cool to see things grow from that stage.
Is there a particular genre that you're fond of? Would you say, like, kind of not really inspiration, but let's use that one then, inspiration. I can't think of another. But what kind of thing lights your fire?
Well, to be honest, I'm generally pretty commercial, mainstream pop sounding. It's the genre that I like to listen to. You know, your Bruno Mars, your Ed Sheeran. This is the kind of sound that I like. Songs where you know, you can show off your voice a little bit. You know, currently a lot of the pop charts are just auto-tuned, and it's just a lot of that. It's very in fashion, and that's not my style. But yeah, so I like to show off vocals, and I also like to write about real things. So just about experiences in life, and just things that I learn along the way. Because since deciding I'm just going to be a full-time musician, I've just experienced a lot of things, putting yourself out of your comfort zone, and it just gives you inspiration to write. Back in New Zealand, when I worked in marketing, a 9-to-5 job, and I would try to write songs, but because I hadn't experienced anything, I was just in this stale routine. I couldn't write anything of substance. It just felt inauthentic. And so, yeah, so I've just really treasured the last 2.5 years. You know, a bit of stress, a bit of worry. But whenever something bad happens, I just say to myself, at least I can write about it and create something out of it. So there's always a silver lining for artists. I think it's great.
If you think about it, it's like it's the old cliche about taking a positive out of a negative situation.
Exactly.
And putting your own spin on it, you know, and saying what you want to say about it.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, a big theme of mine is wanting to, you know, because I'm quit my responsible, stable job that paid pretty well to go full-time music, and sometimes it's very easy to doubt yourself. You know, you get judgment from your peers. My parents, you know, they're still in New Zealand on the other side of the world. Like, what's he doing? He had a good job. We were so proud, and now he's just wants to be a musician playing music on the street. They just don't understand it, and so it's not just musicians that go through that. It's a lot of, you know, entrepreneurs, creatives, freelancers, photographers, people who want to open up a cafe. And in this day and age with technology, there's a lot of people, you know, with these ambitions. And so
I guess we're living in the age of the digital nomad as well.
Exactly, and we can do these things. You know, we have the tools to do it, and so I want to write music that, you know, first of all, it helps me get through when things get tough. But I want to, you know, to create a soundtrack for people who have these ambitions, and maybe it's not smooth sailing. Just put on my song, and it'll inspire you. That's my goal as an artist.
Excellent.
Yeah.
How would you market yourself then, or how do you market yourself?
It's challenging because I have a marketing background. I have the fundamentals to think about things like target audience and you know, how I'm represented visually and things like that. But I try to focus on these creative groups, like you know, we got Facebook and Instagram ads, and you can be very targeted as to the type of people that you trying to get in front of. And so, yeah, so I target freelancers and entrepreneurs with my songs that are themed in that direction, and also you know, there's co-working spaces like WeWork. I live in Cologne, and there's a bunch of these co-working spaces around the city, and so I just went. You know, these co-working spaces are filled with creative types, startups, and people who have that mentality. And so I just went up, cold called I went to the reception desks at these places and said, hey, by the way, if you guys ever want to do like a concert, for your clients or for the people in your community, I'll sing for free, and you know, you can have it as part of an engagement for added value you're giving to your customers, and hopefully I gain a bit of a following. And so, yeah, so I started doing a bit of that, and there was a bit of interest. However, COVID had better ideas, and so it kind of that was about about a year ago, nearly. And so a lot of things were set in motion, but kind of paused, and so just waiting until.
But I really respect that attitude. Sorry, Anthony, I really respect that attitude of don't ask, don't get kind of thing. You know, don't chapping on doors, and what have you got to lose, right?
Exactly. It was a really good experience because I'm a marketer, but I'm not a salesman. You know, I've never worked in sales. So it was a bit daunting to just to show up to these offices and try to sell myself, give them a CD, but it was just a really good experience I was so afraid, but went out and did it. Everyone was really nice about it, and it was a good experience. So and that's what I want to encourage people: just get out of your comfort zone, because it's actually not, more often than not, it's not as bad as what you had imagined.
I mean, the kind of one of the themes of this podcast we were just speaking about at the beginning there, is speaking to other expats, and comfort zone is a word that comes up quite a lot because you really are doing something that so many other people haven't done, and then not to say that that's wrong, or it's just what it is. It's just different.
And especially when you're in a like both of us, we probably didn't imagine seeing ourselves move to Germany, and I don't know what your German language is like, but mine's still not very good.
and we might be on the same page there.
It's very challenging, but
it is very challenging.
But it's also, I think it adds character, and that's what I like. A typical New Zealand thing to do is to go to London. That's where all my friends have gone to London.
You join all the Aussies and the South Africans, right?
Yeah.
That's where there's these huge odds of communities from the three countries.
Yeah, so that's what I had always imagined myself doing, but I met a German girl, and so I went to Germany, and it's just really interesting where life can take you, to these random places, these random things.
How's the music scene in Cologne? I was supposed to go to a gig to see the Jesus and Mary Chain last March or last April in Cologne. Is it the Lux or the Luxor? I can't remember the name of the club. But obviously we never
Lanxess Arena, yeah.
I think this. Oh yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah,
but yeah, we never quite made it. So
yeah, the music scene is pretty good. To be honest, I haven't gigged much in Cologne, but there is a scene. It's very because Cologne is quite a creative kind of city with it's not as creative as Berlin, but it's still got the scene of alternative kind of music, and so there's a lot of niche sort of hipster stuff coming out of Cologne, which doesn't necessarily fit what I'm doing. But you can go out most nights, prior to COVID, and just see musicians playing. It's a very big jazz scene here as well. So yeah, there's lots going on. And
there's a comedy club, or at least there used to be a comedy club in Cologne at one point. Fairly recently.
Yeah, I think so. I've never actually been there because I wouldn't really understand the comedy, and it would.
Oh no, I think this is like an English language place.
Oh, it's an English one. Oh, I knew. No, there was an Irish pub called Jameson's Irish Pub.
This rings a bell. I've seen some things advertised.
At one point, they were doing one. Yeah, they're doing once a week. English-speaking comedian would come. I never actually got there, but I've always been meaning to, because I do love stand-up.
Have you ever have you ventured out into the
Yeah, I
world
mean,
of open mic? What you were telling us about the busking scene.
absolutely. Yeah, and yes, well, I had to, like, that's what you got to do. If no one knows who you are,
No, no stage
you got
is
to
small enough.
you got to start somewhere. And so yeah, when I arrived in Germany, I didn't have any contacts or anything in the music industry, and so like I just went out on the street and played music. Not in Cologne. So the first couple of months we were in a town called Neuwied, which is about an hour south of Cologne, where my girlfriend's parents are. And so it's a relatively small town, like 50,000 people. And I would just go play every day for 5 or 6 hours. And it was just such an amazing experience. Again, it's one of those things where I was really nervous. It's a vulnerable thing to do. It's a vulnerable place to be, is playing music on the street, and you don't know how people are going to react. But I was just met with so much kindness and generosity. Like, I was able to make a modest living.
Mm-hmm.
And on a cold day, people would buy you a coffee. On a warm day, people would buy you a juice. And my dog is always with me, by my side when I'm playing street music. And he would just buy her treats, like ridiculous amount of treats. And so, yeah, it's just been an amazing experience. And homeless people have even donated to me, and that's one thing that really changed my perspective, because I was pretty narrow-minded. The old Anthony was pretty narrow-minded back in when I was at home. I guess I was in the corporate world and was just kind of in my own zone.
But
And
at that
whenever
time, that's normal to you, or to me, right? If we were in that situation, it's just the way it is.
When I used to walk past a homeless person back home, I just, I would just say, you get a job, you lazy bum. If I give you money, you're just going to spend it on booze. And that's just kind of what automatically came to my mind. And when I, was playing music on the street, and just, you do a lot of people watching whilst you're on the street, and you just see how, they donated money to me, but they also kind of looked after each other. And a completely new perspective. And an experience like this is how a cool song is born. And so I've got a song where it's not actually released yet. It's called "Excuse Me," and it's about a homeless man, and he's not there. He's nothing to be worried about. He's not dangerous. He's not addicted to drugs. He's just had a few things go wrong in life. But at the end of the day, he's just like the rest of us, same emotions, same goals, but just in a tough place. And so that's what I'm talking about. It's like getting out of your comfort zone, experiencing something that you weren't even aiming for it, but it happened, and having this bit of wisdom come out of it. And for me, a piece of art as well. So that's been really cool. And sorry, I've gone completely on a tangent, because the question
tangents
was about...
are good, man. It's all right. I like tangents. So, we were just talking about where you started out in the Cologne music scene, but
the question, there was open mics, and and
tangents are all good.
Yeah, and so I hop online and search where open mics are happening, and I just make sure that I go to as many as I can. But it's quite difficult, because there are a lot of artists who want the opportunity to sing at an open mic, and there's not that many open mics. So it's actually, you kind of have to be lucky sometimes. Sometimes you get booked for an open mic in 2 or 3 months' time. And so that's kind of challenging, but you just got to keep doing it and hope,
but this is actually quite a nice segue then into like
your stuff.
Exactly. I was going to say this is a nice segue into how I first saw you, as well, we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a kind of form of open mic, if you like, right? You have the platform. The platform we talked about was Book a Busker. Is that what it was called?
It was Book a Street Artist.
Excuse me,
Book a Street Artist is actually a platform. They're actually a platform where I can set up a profile and have photos and video and audio. And if someone has an event coming up, be it a wedding or a conference or whatever, they can search the platform and find an artist for the occasion. And I've had a few jobs from there. They're a really good platform. And during the COVID times, they have a bit of a social media following, and they wanted to help their artists who are kind of struggling still be a little active and get an audience in front of them. And they also had donation links where people could donate.
Right. It's a kind of form of putting the hat out, right? And
it is,
passing the hat around and
that sort of thing. Yeah.
We all have to eat, man. We all, musicians have to eat too.
They do, yeah. We don't have to. We don't eat as well.
No, or even all the time.
But yeah, that's how you saw me, and it's just taking every opportunity that you can, and just hoping that it compounds over time into a healthy following that you can kind of rely on. So I'm very much still in that phase, just trying to build and grind and build that foundation.
Since the last, between the last year and this year, we've had a lot of lockdown time. What have you found yourself doing creativity? No, I can't even say
creatively.
That word. Thank you. It's been a long day.
So here's the thing, like most artists, we're in normal times we're super busy, and what we just wish we had was time to be creative, time where we can sit down and just write something,
just do it.
So fate gives us this opportunity where we have lots of time, but funnily enough, I've been struggling to be creative right now, despite having the time. And I've spoken to other artists. It's not everyone. Some people are absolutely killing it. But the general consensus amongst the artists that I know is that it's been really difficult. And I don't know if it's, because I talk about, it's about having these experiences. It just feels like I haven't had the opportunity to have as many experiences, like, playing street music and being humbled by a homeless man. Being stuck at home has been kind of stale. But it's just I've just got to try to push through that. But what I have been doing, I haven't written much in the last few months, but I have a lot of songs that are unproduced. So I have been going into studio a lot and working with producers to create these songs. And so, they will be released this year.
Excellent. So what's your back catalogue at the moment? I didn't really look at your back catalogue, but what is it? That's what you're here, right? You can tell us all about it. What's your back catalogue like?
Yeah, so how many songs have I released? I'm just going to have a look on my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I released 6 songs as a solo artist. I got one of those songs remixed, and 5 of those songs were put together as an EP. So it was released on all streaming platforms, and I take a physical CD to gigs. And actually, last Friday was the latest release, but it was a collaboration project between myself and a friend also from New Zealand who's based in Berlin, who's a musician himself. And so that was a collaboration, my first collaboration project. And that one's going really well as well. Funnily enough, it's called Traveler. And we can't really travel to appreciate it. So it's more to listen to and to think back on those travel memories, really. but yeah, I mean, if I walk through the songs, I don't want to bore you, but the first song I released is called Brave, and it was just about myself being brave enough to pursue music despite what my parents were saying, and just pushing through and not giving up despite failure and rejection.
Right.
And just
It's
and
about
so
maybe making a choice of facing an ultimatum, or
exactly, yeah,
taking things on to that next level where other people maybe have their doubts, shall we say? Not that your parents, but
yeah.
in general.
Yeah, and so that was the first song. The second song was "I Got Your Back," and so side story. In my home of New Zealand, we have one of the highest suicide rates in the world. A lot of people were super surprised to hear this, because I think, isn't it just this beautiful land like Lord of the Rings?
Right.
But we have this cultural thing where we're not very good at sharing our emotions. If something's bothering us, especially us men, we keep it to ourselves. We bury it, and because we don't want to look weak in front of other people. And as a result, depression comes along, and ultimately, in some cases, suicide. And so I wrote a song called "I Got Your Back," which is, to encourage especially men to be open to each other, and to also, let your friends know that you're emotionally available for them. You're not just going to judge them for being a wuss or something like that.
Right.
And so this song I released in a partnership with a charity called Lifeline, and they basically operate 24/7 phone lines for people who have no one to talk to. They can just call up and just talk to someone through their issues. And so, yeah, 100% of the proceeds of that song are going to this charity, which sounds really great, but it's it's challenging. It's at about 20,000 streams, and it equates to about $40. So yeah, it's
I mean, sadly, that's the world we live in. We measure things
yeah,
in streams and
yeah, and
0.001 or whatever it
it's
is.
currently average is probably about 0.03. No, sorry, 0.3 cents per stream,
I
which
mean,
is
what is that even? It's like nothing. Right?
it's nothing. No, but
Well, let's see if we can add a
yeah.
few more zero, not a
Oh,
few more
that would
zeros,
be
a few more numbers.
that would be wonderful. But yeah, I mean, basically, all the songs are. Yeah, there's a song that's a tribute to the terrorist attack that happened in New Zealand uh, nearly 2 years ago. A song about I wrote for my girlfriend. It's called "Home Is Where You Are," because I made the leap to Germany, and I thought to myself, as long as I'm with a leader who is my girlfriend, that's where home is, and I feel at home here. So I'm not homesick at all, which is pretty cool. It's a good place to be. So yeah, all the songs come from a real place, and that's what I think is special.
Wait, wait, wait. Sorry, I just got a message. It's all right. Sorry.
Okay, okay.
It's like, what was
I
that?
heard a beeping. I
Yeah,
heard some
sorry about
beeping.
that.
No worries.
What about your plans for this year? And a couple more questions for you. What about your plans for this year musically? Let's look on the bright side and say things will open up around about March or going into Easter, and when we can get out and about again.
Yeah, so hopefully that happens. um, but I'll just be, I have been building up a catalog of tracks that are basically ready to release. Last year it was very like get in the studio, record the track, then release it, and then get back in the studio and record the next one. But yeah, I've been using the time wisely to have a few tracks unreleased under my belt so I can release them smarter. And I just need to, I'll be back to open mics, trying to get in front of more people, and hopefully, I'll be able to perform a couple, festivals if they happen. I'm not sure if festivals will be able to happen, but maybe it'll be, you know, small events. And so I'll just be out there hustling, trying to get them, basically.
Good luck, man, because I read today, or I just saw on the news today, that Glastonbury was cancelled again. Not that I have plans to go there, but I know a friend of mine usually goes at least every year.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, there's no way of controlling the movement of people. And so, I don't know how that's going to work.
One of the weirdest things when you see like a, not even old video, I guess we could use that one, like old footage of gigs either indoors or outdoors, or, you know, 500 people in a room watching a band or a musician or a stand-up or whatever it is. And it's just, well, you get all nostalgic for it, you know?
Well, the funny thing is, end of August last year, so, you know, most of Europe was already pretty restricted. Not as bad as it is now, but, you know, there were no real events happening in August. But I got booked for a festival in Hungary, and just a small festival, and there was no restrictions. And because I was used to the German rules, I came to Hungary, and there were like virtually no masks. There were just people everywhere. I went clubbing, which was such a strange feeling. And yeah, it was just so bizarre. It just felt so strange. And you know, New Zealand right now, because they're an island, so they've got the benefit of having no land borders or anything like that, and just being on the other side of the world, plus, you know, strict quarantine rules. They've been able to continue. So it's summer now, and there's been music festivals and big concerts, and people are just living. They can't travel overseas, but life is going on pretty much as per normal, which is, and seeing that from the other side of the world is crazy. It makes me a little bit jealous.
Yeah, I guess we just have to take it for what it is and make the best of it. What about your social media, Anthony? Where can we find you?
So yeah, my name is Anthony, but my artist name is Ant like the bug, Ant Utama. So yeah, if you search Ant Utama, I'm on everywhere. So if you got Spotify or Apple Music or Deezer.
Have I been calling you by your Sunday name all this time when you never told me?
Oh, my name is Anthony. I get called Anthony. It's normal, but
I never really ask people. I should, but I never really say, do you want me to call you this or that? I just call whatever's on the screen, you know.
Back home, Ant is like a nickname that my friends call me, and it confuses the Germans. The Germans are like, Ant?
Why?
Wie am Meise? And so but I'm everywhere. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm moving on TikTok and trying my luck there, which is an interesting place. But I'm everywhere trying to make the most of it.
You're omnipresent.
Exactly.
Excellent. It's the best
Facebook
place
as well.
to be.
Yeah.
Top 5, Ant. Shall we go for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Who should we be listening to? No, let's do the first one. I'll start again. Top 5. Guilty pleasure.
So my guilty pleasure, I don't know if most people would consider him a guilty pleasure, but I really like Ed Sheeran. Obviously he's massive. He has a massive fan base, but amongst musicians, he doesn't have a lot of credibility because, you know, musicians tend to overanalyze things, and they say he's not a great guitarist, and they don't like commercial sounding music.
I think the second one you might have actually nailed it, right? I think this might be more about it. It's as you mentioned earlier, about everything being auto-tuned and being just to win within an inch of its life, you know, a lot of this music that's coming out. So maybe that kind of puts people on the other side.
The artists like art to be unique and really out there and niche, and whenever an artist becomes mainstream, they get a bit of hassle for it. But I'm a big fan of his, and you know, my style is, I'd say, relatively similar to his. So yeah, I just really enjoy listening to his music.
It's fair enough, man. Who should we be listening to and why then? Tell us someone we don't know that you would like to put that right.
Yeah, so I've already mentioned him. So this Kiwi friend in Berlin, his name's Graham Candy, and he's been a full-time musician for quite a while now, and a lot of Germans will actually recognize his voice because he's featured on songs that have been on the radio and things like that. So his name's Graham Candy, and he's a super nice guy, a super good friend. He's got a really unique and really, really unique voice, and he knows how to use it really well. And so I would, if you haven't heard of Graham Candy, check him out because he's got a super cool voice.
All right, look forward to doing that. Who would you like to collaborate with and why?
Who would I like to collaborate with?
I mean, it could be a solo act, could be a band. I mean, all's yours. You do what you like.
Yeah. I would like to collaborate with, because what's really trendy now is, singer-songwriters, even if it's more the acoustic side, they're collaborating with like DJ producers right now because DJ producers are the hot thing. And so I would love to collaborate with a DJ like Kygo. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's in the kind of electronic music scene, but it's very soft pop electronic music. But he's got a really unique sound, and he always collaborates with singers who sound great, like they're super skilled, and they use that as a platform to set their own solo careers in motion. So, yeah.
But this is another example there of I don't particularly know who this is, but I'll have a listen. I mean, I'm always up for something.
I'm sure you will have heard it. Just playing in a shop or something like that.
But this is the great thing where music really has no boundaries in this sense. You have a collaborative opportunity, whoever that may be, and it's people just get together and you see what happens in it.
Yeah.
If it comes out great, fine, but it's about enjoying yourself and really earning your stripes as well as a musician. I think, when it gives you a lot of experience and a lot of things you learn from other people.
You learn so much from other people, and yeah, because I've been relatively in my own box, when it comes to songwriting, and I just started songwriting sessions with other songwriters, and it's amazing. Yeah. It's like, wow, it's such a different perspective.
Yeah.
And now I can add this to my artillery for future.
It's all part of the musical journey, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your go-to karaoke song? Now you know what Nori Bang is.
No, Nori Bang. I was like, what is that? Favorite karaoke song?
What's your go-to one? When it's your turn.
I like a classic because I want people to sing along.
All right.
I'll go Robbie Williams' Angels.
Oh, there we go. That's a classic.
That's a sing-along song. It'll get the people going.
Does it get much more sing-alongy than that?
Yeah, that's the key. That's the key.
Yeah, good choice, man. And what about, we'll wrap it up, a favorite venue you've either played at or maybe a venue that you've seen someone in that you really enjoyed the venue?
Yeah, so I'll use one that I've played at, and it's not like a big stadium or anything. It's there's a kind of a community house called the Tannenbush House, which is actually in Bonn, and they basically have this. It's hard to explain. They have this house, and they have a sustainable garden, and they have like book clubs in there, and it's basically like this community center. And it's predominantly expats in there as well, and occasionally they have entertainment, and so I went as the entertainment for one day. It was during COVID times, so the event could happen, but there was only about 20 people, so not a big audience, but it was kind of this living room concert atmosphere, and I love the living room concert vibes. It's so intimate. Yeah, there's nothing between you and the audience, and you don't feel like you're performing necessarily. You just feel like you're telling a story and sharing parts of you. It doesn't feel like this, you're on this big stage and you need to deliver this best performance. It's just all about authenticity, and it's casual, it's laid back, and it's honest. And so I've played twice at this place, and I mean, it's it's passing the hat around. It's not big money, but it's the most rewarding as an artist. Is this sort of gig is what I love to do.
Excellent, man. I mean, there's a bit of a misnomer that musicians are all about playing bigger places, or more is more, but it's not always the case. And in many cases, it's actually a bit harder to play in front of 20 people in a small space. You really have to be in a different place to be able to do that as an artist.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been at events where there have been a few hundred people, but the few hundred people aren't listening.
They're checking the phone, or they're ordering pizza.
They're chatting in your background music, and so I would much rather 20 engaged people who are going to go on the journey than 500 people who walk past you.
The life of an artist,
Yeah, it's exactly.
There's always people tapping you on the shoulder and asking you if you could, sing a little bit quieter or something.
Yeah, or they ask you to sing Wonderwall. Can you sing Wonderwall? Yeah.
Oh, then again, if you sing, well, if you give me $10, it's yours, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. But then you do sing Wonderwall, and then they love it. So then, they just want people like to hear what they know, and that's the challenging thing as a singer-songwriter.
Definitely, as in
singing songs people have never heard of.
Exactly, producing your own original music is a fine thing to do, and then to take it to the next level, as in to take it to the public, and then to get them engaged. That's when you have to take it up a notch.
Yeah, it's a challenge that I've not mastered. I put a lot of content out on social media and music videos and things and whatnot, but I've yet to go viral. Like, nothing has gone viral really. It's just been a slow build, and I'm hoping that's a more sustainable way of doing things. But I'm still trying to crack the formula. It's a work in progress.
Well, I wish you all the best, and we'll definitely add all of these links into our podcast page, and we will hope for the best for this year.
Thanks so much. Thanks for getting in touch. And I mean, this in itself is an opportunity to tell my story and hopefully get a bit of exposure. So I thank you for that opportunity.
My pleasure, sir. There we go.
You can follow Can't Find My Way Home on Instagram at can't.findmywayhome, on Facebook at Expat Music Pod, and of course you can find us on Spotify, Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts from, you'll find us there. Until the next one, this is Craig saying cheers.